philology to preserve, monitor, investigate and augment our cultural inheritance, including all the material means by which it has been realised and transmitted. I suppose that a philologist is anyone who's concerned with the preservation, interpretation and dissemination of text in one way or another. A philologist might be someone who's concerned to construct the textual history of a particular, let's say, canonical literary text, who works backwards and looks for all the sources, who then puts those together and tries to come up with a history of the production of that text. It's someone who's focused on the material means of distribution of texts. It's someone who is concerned with potentially as well with the process of production, so with the writer's drafts, for instance, with notebooks, with diaries, with all of the kind of contextual things that might help to give a sense of what's going on in the production of that text. The fundamental value is that people working in the humanities work with texts of one kind or another, you know, that might, whatever kind of text that might be. But historians would work with texts, biblical scholars would work with texts, theologians would work with texts, film studies people would work with texts. And from McGann's point of view, it's straightforwardly the preservation of texts that enables us to be able to work with them. So in a certain sense, all humanities scholarship, insofar as it concerns itself with texts of any kind, it presupposes the work of the philologist for those materials to be there in the first place. Okay, so the case that he's really making as a starting point is that philology as a practice has, to a certain extent, been alienated or been marginalised in humanities training in general. And he's suggesting that a philosophical methodology, in a very, very broad sense, has tended to take the place of philological training. And his case really is that philology sort of needs to come back, and in practice with the development of digital humanities, particularly with the way that the internet works as an archive, philology is an absolutely essential skill for people to be trained in. The workshop is aimed at more or less anyone who deals with texts. More specifically than that, it's aimed to help people to think through questions associated with editing. It's aimed at helping people who work with archival materials. It's aimed at helping people who want to historicise text in any way at all. One of the things that the workshop was designed to do was to help people who in the future might be involved in editing text, producing editions of text within their field, to work through some of the questions and implications of that kind of practice, that scholarly practice that's essential to humanities study as well.